What's going on, ladies and gents? It's your boy Darth. We're back with some more Queen's Blade Limit Break video content. And in this one, we're going to be going over the brand new dual attribute SP Warrior Seeria, the Guide of Destiny. She's an SP Warrior. She is classified as a support warrior. She's a very interesting warrior. The devs or the game developers, whoever's in charge, has actually done a fairly decent job of creating a more unique warriors in terms of their abilities, how they function, what they do, as opposed to pretty much the standards. Heal, damage, now revive, and things like that. Although shields are getting a bit out of control, but there are still some things that there's little known about how shields work when you're stacking multiple shields, and that's going to be important as we talk about this particular warrior. From a looking standpoint, she looks awesome. The color palette is great. I love these little, orbiting this orb that she has and the rotating glasses with the flames inside. That is really, really cool. The headdress, again, it is very plain. It's very bland, but she's got multicolored eyes, which is, I'm sorry to say, very sexy. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, but her spicy pose is really where it takes the cake. Look at that. I think both male and females and non-binary females and males and all those other different types of people, I think we can all agree that the best position that a woman could ever be in is this. I mean, nothing more needs to be said. She doesn't even need to be holding the ball there. That's just value added. God damn it. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that. Very nice, simplistic, spicy pose. But man, it says a lot. It tells a lot. It just is what it is. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the warrior here. We're going to start with the passive as always. She's considered a better version of an SP warrior, meaning that I want to say lesser versions of SPs get 45% attack and 25% HP. I'd have to go back and look at it, but anyway, she gets a bonus of 50% to attack and 30% to HP whenever it is added. She gets natural immobilization resistance at 15%, so you're starting off pretty good there. This is where the interesting ability actually comes in. Ally shield effect plus 30%. They need to clarify this because this would be a more interesting ability if it applied to any shields that allies may apply. Now, she applies shields as well. Okay, so if you look at her classification, she's a support warrior. Shield, counter shield, and recovery. She's very interesting. But anyways, ally shield effect, it doesn't say effects, plus 30%. I want to say this only applies to shielding that she applies, but if they expanded on that and this applied to any shields that others apply, I think things could get a little out of control. So the devs do need to clarify this ability. When I have time today, I will send a message to ask about that. Now, what I want to do is take a look at this ability right here. It's her turn 2 ability, 4-turn cooldown. She deals magic damage at 160% rate of her attack to all enemies and inflicts unlucky, lasting for 2 turns. Now, cannot be removed. They continue this movement of cannot be removed, meaning, I've mentioned this in several of my videos, is that they are using this verbiage here, cannot be removed, to limit, in my opinion, to limit the usage of the rune skill Advanced Purify. Because if you could just purify everything off, then there's no point in having unique warriors. But anyways, unlucky, when a warrior in this state is attacked, there's a 50% chance of inflicting a curse. If the attacker is a dual attribute warrior, that chance increases to 100%. So if they're being attacked by a dual attribute warrior, blah, 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 you're going to inflict a curse when attacked. Curse obviously takes 50% of users' attack. After 2 turns. I don't know why I can't talk. Anyways, so she does kind of fit in to the dual theme, as you will, but she really, honestly, she's a plug-and-play warrior. You'll see that as we go along. So, the next 2 abilities are both interesting as they are confusing. So, we're going to take a look at the last ability here. Passive, Fate Reversal. When battle starts, consume 60% of remaining HP of the ally to inflict an absorbing shield equal to 60% of her max HP. Lasting 3 turns, cannot be removed. Pay attention at the start of the battle. She's going to inflict an absorbing shield. Now, absorbing shield has a unique ability with it. We'll take a look at that in down here in a second, but I want to point out that this is at the start of battle. Okay, this is a one-time only thing. It's a passive that triggers at the start of battle. She will consume 60% of all allies. I've tested this out, not just an ally. At the start of allies, she's going to give an absorbing shield to all allies by consuming 60% of their HP. Now, she's going to the shield strength is going to be 60% of her max HP. If I'm reading that right, you can soup up this warrior's ability, massive HP, and create a massive shield based on 60% of her max HP. So even though you consume 60% of an ally's HP, you could potentially increase the shield effect. Now, this triggers at the start of battle. This is automatic. An absorbing shield basically is an interesting new ability where damage taken by the shield is actually converted into HP of the owner. So anytime an ally is attacked with his shield, she's actually going to block the damage, but she's also going to heal for the amount of damage that the shield sustained. Very cool, very interesting ability. However, it's in a direct conflict with her first ability. Now, the devs need to clarify again this passive, ally shield effects plus 30%, because keep in mind, she's inflicting a absorbing shield of 60%. But if she's increasing it by 30%, just keep in mind that that may be an aspect as well. Now, let's go take a look at her first ability, grants a prophecy and an absorbing shield of 100% of allies' attack. This is on turn 1, okay, lasting 2 turns. So every 2 turns, she's going to grant prophecy and an absorbing shield. Only this shield is 100% of the allies' attack. Now, I want you to pay attention to that. At the start of battle, she's going to create a shield equal to 60% of her max HP. At the start of battle, so you already have a shield. On turn 1, when her turn comes around, she's going to inflict an absorbing shield based on 100% of the allies' attack. That is a direct contradiction. Is she putting 2 absorbing shields on, or is she overriding one? The one with the HP is going to be more powerful because HP in the game has a much higher number than attack does, meaning the HP shield would be more potent than the attack shield. Now, if it's a stacking shield, fine, but if it's overriding, then you have a conflict between these 2 abilities, and they need to fix that somehow. Now, prophecy basically means when the owner is attacked, she'll reflect 12%, that the ally will reflect 12% of that damage. Very cool. So not only is the shield blocking damage, not only is the shield healing damage, it's reflecting damage. Now, I want to say that the healing ability actually heals for the exact amount of the damage minus the reflect, but I honestly don't think that. I was looking at some of the numbers pop off during some slow-mo testing on the video, and it does look to me like when the damage is reflected, you don't get credit for that healing, but either way, it doesn't matter. You're reflecting 12% of the damage. Now, 12% still doesn't add up to much. I have a full set of runes that reflects 50% of the damage at a 45% rate, and it doesn't come out to that much damage at 50%, so 12% isn't going to be all that great. Don't expect huge damage numbers from this. However, when she consumes 60% of the team's HP and applies a shield, that actually counts as damage. If you look at it, it's calculated as damage, so everybody does take that damage in terms of an ability. So she doesn't have much in terms of attack. She hits for 160%, but that's not her focus. Her focus is to shield, counter shield, which basically is the reflect and the heal, and the recovery is the heal. So, interesting warrior. I like her. I really like her spicy pose. I can't see her changing the meta, although her abilities can be extremely potent if this 30% ally shielding actually works. Consuming 60% of all allies' HP at the beginning of battle is very dangerous. So the ability to heal and recover means that you want to be careful using her. get her geared up, get her ready to go. The only thing that isn't really clarified as far as this warrior is whether or not the shielding is fixed, because the shielding heals the amount of damage received. If you were to equip a heal jewel, the question being is, would the healing from the heal jewel up here increase the healing done? They need to the developers need to actually kind of clarify that as well. Well, that's in a nutshell, guys. She's a dual attribute support warrior with no revive function, just straight shielding and healing with minor damage. She's not game breaking, but she's definitely interesting and can be used in any team. I don't think she's going to get a lot of use because I think people don't understand her true power potential. However, I do want to point out PvP may be a dangerous place to use her. But if you were to use her on, let's say, an event boss, that there's one event boss in particular that really likes to hit very hard as well as continuous damage. Now, if you were to pair her up with the two physical attribute warriors that heal like 50% of continuous damage done, and there's another one that heals for 45% of the continuous damage dealt to the enemy, these two would make a good defensive pair as long as you had a good attacker, a good couple of attackers to go with. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section of her look, her spicy pose, and her ability in terms of PvP and in PvE. I can't see her getting a lot of use in PvE. There's just nothing that is that dangerous unless you're really struggling with Sanctum right now, which you probably shouldn't be. I look forward to testing her on an event boss, which is one of the tougher enemies in the game. They just don't come around that often. That's it for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next one.